Hello, everybody, and welcome to Just Lunch. Thank you for taking time out of your day for joining myself and my host, Rico Boxing. How are you doing, Rico?
I'm very well, thank you, lovely. How are you this fine afternoon,
I'm doing
Christine?
well. I'm doing well. So it's lunchtime here. It's 1 o'clock. We usually have lunch 12, 1 o'clock, and so it's lunch. And I think, what is it, dinner for you?
Yes, it is tea, as we would refer
Tea.
it to in the
Tea.
Great Britain, the greatest
Okay.
Britain, greatest
Yeah.
ever, the Goat Britain. Sorry.
I I
Uh,
I I love the UK. I really do. I love everybody from over there. Most people. I did have somebody that was kind of rude once, but we got rid of him. Oh,
oh, well, sorry about that. Don't worry, the one
it's
does not
okay.
represent the many, but we love you, Christine.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Well, I really wanted to talk about the belts because there are so many sanctioning bodies or so many belts, and people are always either complaining or saying we need to get rid of them or no, they're good. And as soon as we hop on, my guy wheelchair John says, "Hello, beautiful Christine. Yes, there are too many champions in boxing. The sanctioning bodies need to be abolished." I know that's a pipe dream, but that's what needs to happen. And we know Uncle Turkey would like that to happen too. What are your thoughts on that?
I think just as an honorable mention to shout out the coveted IBO belt. I think it's a double-edged sword in it. Like, if you get rid of the belts, you get rid of that history
Mm-hmm.
that comes with it, and I think people nowadays, Christine, are afraid. They're afraid of change, and they're afraid to create their own history. So because people have that fear, you're not, because if you really look at the history behind all of those belts, they were worn by amazing champions. That's why everybody wants to be a WBC or WBA. Now they don't want to be that. I mean, now I'm joking, but it's that's why I feel the that's why I feel it'll be very, very difficult to actually just introduce one actual belt, because you would have to completely revolutionize and change the way that the sport is structured. I think there's always been too many belts. I think the WBA, if everybody remembers, they were forced by the U.S. Treasury or something to that effect. I'm not too sure. Don't want to talk fibs, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah. Even for boxing heads, sometimes it gets very confusing. So it's like, how do casual boxing fans or people that, yeah, they like boxing but they don't delve too deep in it, how do they keep up with all the belts and the organizations? I mean, a lot of people feel like the WBC franchise champion belt is so confusing and unnecessary. I mean, WBC franchise champion. That's a
what
mouthful.
what even is that? We still don't know, and it messed up. What was it, Tiafimo, when he beat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tiafimo still to this day is not an undisputed champion.
Right.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of undisputed, I mean, Terrence Crawford's undisputed, so is Inoue, but they still deal with belt politics. You know,
Yeah,
there's gray areas.
yeah, because Devin had to unify the WBC belts before he could unify all the other belts. So
Mm-hmm.
by it's just a slippery slope, isn't it?
It is a slippery
Um,
slope. Exactly. That's my whole point. And I'm hearing rumors that Devin Haney reportedly is vacating his WBC belt at 140. Have you heard those rumors?
yeah, I think Bill. The last time I spoke to my uncle Bill, shout out to Uncle Bill and the Haneys, man, incredible, lovely people. They weren't going to be fighting at 140 pounds. I think 147. Devin just can't make it. He's
Mm-hmm.
been fighting at 135 for so long. Um, but again, going back to sort of the belts and the confusion, they create their own confusion. Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember the times of Dillian White and his road to the number one contendership of the WBC heavyweight championship of the world? Because he was chasing Wilder, and he was number one for like what 5 years,
Yeah.
and then that uppercut
Yeah.
from Povetkian just took everything away. And
Yeah.
then, but before that, he was ordered by them to fight Dominic Breazeale. Now,
Yes,
when he had been
Dominic
ordered,
Brazil.
yep, yep. Big up, shout out to Dominic, man. You know, come back, Dominic. The memes are gone. The memes are gone. Okay.
You want him to come
Uh,
back so your guys can have somebody to beat up on. Let's
I
just tell
mean,
the
it
truth.
is fun, isn't it? It
It's
is fun.
okay.
You're British now too, Christy. Don't
That's
worry.
true.
We'll give you
That's right.
dual
So our
citizen.
guys can beat that American up.
Hopefully, but then, like you said, you look you look at Dominic Brazil, and then what the WBC had to do a timeline. I don't know if anybody can go back and watch that tweet, or I might ask Grok to do it, but they did like a timeline of like their whole decisions and why they're making the decision to take away that fight and give Dominic Brazil the number one contender spot because Deontay Wilder and his team declined the Anthony Joshua undisputed fight and fought Brazil
Mm-hmm.
on Showtime. Shout out to what's his name again?
Haciel.
Um
Who? Oh, are you talking about the comment? Or what are you talking about? You talking about Jimmy?
Num oh man, Espinoza. Shout out to
Oh,
Espinoza, man.
Espinosa.
Honorable mention. We love you,
Honorable
Esp.
mention. There's a lot of honorable mentions, aren't there? Like,
I
really?
know. I
Really?
know.
Like, all the ones in between. Haciel said, current organizations are plenty. If you only have one, it becomes a monopoly. That is true. Like the ring that Uncle Turk would like to make the only belt. And then what? He's already taken over so many things. I mean, all these promoters are having to hold hands literally with each other and sing
Would you
Kumbaya.
hold his hand, Christine?
What'd you say?
Would you heard what I said? Would you hold his hand?
No, he wouldn't hold my hand. I'm a female.
Do you know what it is? I would hold his hand, and I'll hold it extra hard, just for both, just for you, because you know I love.
Exactly, extra hard. Luciana
Pause.
says
Sorry.
it's only the belts. The ratings in the different organizations are all over the place. Well, yeah, that's true. And the thing is this, and I talked about it on the show before. As far as like ratings and where your boxer falls, all you have to do is go to a convention of one of these sanctioning bodies, WBC, WBO, so on and so forth, blah 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 blah,
And say,
and
yo, me.
you have somebody represent you. You go to dinner with somebody the night before. The next day, you're like, "Hey, my guy's number 10. I'd like him to be number 7 or number 5." They're like, "You got it,
You
number 5."
got it, mate. And do you know what kills me? Because like they make it out like it's so proper, like it's exactly how
Oh yeah,
giving the people what they want.
right.
For somebody to be sixth ranked or whatever and go up to the
Yeah,
convention and be like, yeah, dude, I need that title shot next, and they're like, yeah,
exactly.
they
I mean,
they
you
they
you
do
would
it to themselves.
no, they do, and you would think it'd be like a ceremony, like you're picking the pope or something. Like you go behind closed doors and you have your votes and you have discussions and stuff, and then okay, it's not like that at all. It's almost like bingo, like going to the highest bidder. Oh, he took me out to eat here, and we talked about this in the future, and blah blah blah. It's like selling cattle, really.
I mean, I've interviewed Maurizio when he came down. Was it the Day of Reckoning? No. It was for Bivol, the first time Bivol and
Mm-hmm.
Turbio fought, and I asked him, like, why, you kind of took away the WBC belt. You said that no Russian fighters would be able to compete for the belt, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden you just change your tune, and the war's still going on, by the way, just
yeah.
in case anybody doesn't know. And then that just it reduces credibility for
Mm-hmm.
themselves, not like there was much credibility before. And if you go and you look at certain sanctioning bodies, they clearly align themselves with specific promotions. That's
Absolutely.
how some fighters just become number one contender, and you're like, I don't even know how they did that, but
Well,
I
you
like the
don't
fact
even
that
know
it's
who they
getting less
are.
blatant. Yeah.
I mean, look at Skull, whatever you call Skull, however you want to pronounce his name. Look
No
at
one's seen
Skull.
him since.
No one saw him prior, and no one has seen him since. What's going on? You know,
I don't
um,
know.
it is very confusing. And I mean, what about interim titles? Like, there's the interim, there's franchise. It's like, and then there's multiple champs and the divisions. I think the WBA has multiple champs per division. It's just a lot. It's like you really have to like go to school and take a class. you know?
But the thing is, they invent their own rules on the fly. So
Yeah.
like, I don't know if anybody watches The Lord of the Rings, but I'm a massive nerd, and I like to watch like the making of and stuff. And
Yeah,
there was one
do that.
at it's old school, and they were actually saying in this sequence how they were making it. It was like, it was like literally a train going, and you're just doing the tracks as the train is like moving forward,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's
yes, yes. Building as you go. Yes.
and that's what lets them down. Like Maurizio, I want to believe in you, man. I want
hmm
to believe in you,
And the
Paco.
legacy of his
Actually,
father and everything
his
before.
father saved a lot of lives. Going from 15
Absolutely.
rounds to 12 rounds was
Right.
massive. Like he
Massive.
said, like they booed his father out the stands. But the thing is that you don't want to. You don't. I, no one's managing any of you.
hmm
You don't have fear from a government, or you don't have fear from
Right.
an entity that's more powerful than you that can keep you in check. And
Exactly.
that's how, I mean, if you look at, for example, the British Boxing Board of Control over here, that's a limited company. That's as good as my off license down the road,
Mm,
right? So they can just make up whatever they want.
right.
And I feel like if you really want justice, and if you really want the right people, getting the right opportunities, then you're gonna have to, then something has got to change, and that's how you can get a Turkey. Turkey just came in, boom. And the reason that he was able to do that is, one, because of a substantial amount of money, like a
Yeah.
substantial amount. But
That
two,
yeah.
everything is just, if everything's a monopoly, then what's the aim and objective of monopoly? To buy everything and make the most money, right?
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly right. It is. And because people were like questioning the fact back, I guess year and a half ago, I believe it was before Spence and Crawford fight, where Spence was like, why do we have to pay these 3%? Like, I don't even want them if I have to do that. And yes, he had all the belts, most of the belts, and he was paying huge sanctioning fees. So I could see him saying that, and at first I was defending it a little bit, like, well, they do have conventions, they do have to pay for certain things, they have employees and blah, not, whatever. But then I was like, they're making hand over fist. They really are, with all the belts that they're, and then all the in betweens, and I'm thinking, this is a business. This is
Hmm.
definitely a business. It's more than just presenting this prestigious, honorable belt. It is definitely a business with all the ones in between as well.
I think the fact that you have to pay for a title is outrageous.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It
No,
defeats the whole
seriously,
purpose of it. Like,
it
the
does.
fact that you. Sorry, carry on, Christine.
No, it does. And what about the new champions, the ones that are just starting out and they get their first title? And it's like maybe they don't have the backing yet, like some of the champions that have been around. Like they have to pay for this, or their manager, and maybe their manager's new, or their manager's not prepared to do that because they have mini champions, or the promoter is like, so it can get very sticky. And I think people don't really understand that.
I think, and also by having them, unifications. I've never seen in any other sport, like any other sport. If you look at fake sports over in America, like, what do you call it? I'm not going to say that name, but if you look at football over here, the objective, well, for everybody, is for the best to, in tournaments or whatever, they get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and the best fight the best. You don't have to pay to be there; they pay you to be there.
Right,
Right?
right,
Because they pay
right.
for your talent. And these
See,
people, like, respect to everybody's sports out there. Every sport comes with a little bit of with their fair amount of danger. But these men could die any second in there. Right?
absolutely.
You're making them pay corner fees. You're making them pay sanctioning fees.
Yeah,
The manager already takes 15% off the top. Like I heard the other day from some people with some questionable maths. um, Brian Norman Jr. obviously getting offered a certain
Yeah,
amount of money to fight Boots, but then he would have what 15% or 20% taken from that purse because he would go over there, and then Matchroom would take 15 to 20% of that
yeah,
purse, and his manager would take that, and then his camp, and then this and everything like that, and then obviously after taxes, they had told me that from that amount of money that he would have like 300-400K. You're telling me from
yeah,
2 million, a
yeah,
unification that we all want, that a
yes,
fighter is going to want to do unifications of being offered 2 million when after literally all of that 2 million's gone, like he's only taken 300-400K. That
yeah.
is abysmal.
It's horrendous, and it's like people don't understand. It's people are so quick to call boxers ducks. Oh, well, you offered 2 million or 1.5 million or whatever. No, no, there's so much more to it. And it's in the negotiations. It's in the contracts. Like it's not, no, there's not a boxer that is afraid of another boxer. It is definitely has to do with things that you're talking about. And I'm so glad you brought that up,
I
because
honestly hate it, Christine.
I
I'll
hate
be
it
real.
too. It's not fair. It's not
Because you
fair.
see it. You're a
Mhm.
trainer of a
Yeah.
high level athlete. Obviously, congratulations to you and
Thank you.
Chicken. I know that you
Thank
guys are
you.
gonna smash it again.
Yeah.
But you see, like I often say to people on like my shows and stuff like that, like whenever I hear like their hypothesis or what they're talking about, in terms of what they think the other side of boxing is, it is horrible, man. The
Hmm.
money where like
Hmm.
there's times where I've seen and heard people had to question their own team members and stuff because there's money that just goes
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
another, do you know what I mean? And then this, and then you get this, is somebody's taking this, and then you could end up going to court because of disputes and stuff like that
We've
because of
got it
contract.
going on, definitely. I mean, people
So
here in the
mm,
US too. And the thing is this, people don't realize too how expensive it is to be in camp. If you have a job, because most have to have a job that aren't there yet, you have to quit your job. You have to hire an S&C coach. You have to be with your coach all the time, driving to where they're at. You have to get your meals. You have to pay your bills. I mean, it just it's so expensive. It's so expensive.
a
It
camp can
really
cost
is.
anything upwards from what 300K.
Oh, it can.
500K, even more than that, depending on the opponent. Like if for like Dubois and Usyk, I can imagine their camps costing quite a pretty
Yeah,
pretty
look
pretty
at Bruce
penny.
said Mike Hunter's 8 training week camp for Pelev Pulev is costing him 165K.
That's way too much. That's way too much. 80K, and he could chin him right now.
Yeah, he could. He could. That's fine. That's another conversation. But I kind of want to segue into something, and I
Yep.
wasn't thinking about talking about it, but I want to now that you're here with me because I have some questions about the commission there and stuff like that. Um, let me see. So you were talking about, these guys are putting their life on the line. And yeah, they are. They're putting their life on the line every day. And recently, one of our shamefully American boxers um, from the U.S. was had popped dirty Mungia, and this is and he was over there, right? He was over there, and I'm hearing that the UK is very strict when it comes to that. It's not like a slap on the wrist or a 1 year suspension. It can be up to 4 years suspension. Can you shed some light on that?
Oh, my favorite. Gosh, I wish I had Rob Shrew here. Well, can I be honest with you?
I
Don't
want
tell
you to be
anybody.
honest. I want you to be
Tell
honest.
don't tell anybody I'm telling you this one.
Nobody's
But
no,
it's
nobody's here but me.
okay. All right, because I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna drop you the game right now. Okay,
Okay, let's go.
if you have money, all right, you could pretty much do whatever you want.
Mm,
So, for example,
mm-hmm.
okay, now let's look at a couple of cases. Okay, for example, Conor
Talk
Ben,
about. There we go. That's a good
Conor
one.
Ben. All right, Conor Ben. He the drugs were in his system, right? he is still able to fight. I think a year. I think a couple of was it a year after the suspension, I think, but only in America because they're the ones that
Mhm.
would give him a
Mhm.
license.
Mhm.
Again, everything is different everywhere. So
Yeah.
like the fact, so but the thing is, the tests that he failed weren't the UCAD tests. You know,
Mhm.
they were the VADA tests. So those tests aren't actually admissible into anything. And Chris was going to still fight him even after what came out and came out, but I think somebody had leaked it or what have you. So obviously, but if nobody knew that, that fight was still gonna go on,
Right. Right.
1,000,000%, and they all knew about it. Everybody knew about it. I want to tell you something, right? I knew that just off of Connor's last when they had his last hearing, I
Mhm.
knew about 2 months before that hearing even happened that he was gonna be cleared. Don't ask me how. Okay, I just have these visions sometimes, like that's so Raven. But
I've got
you
some
know,
numbers I need you to look at.
oh, absolutely.
A lot of
Christine,
them.
you listen. All right. Well, when we win, we'll buy everything. Turkey will
Cool.
work for us.
We're gonna get
We'll hold our
bring
hands.
turkey out of town.
Absolutely. But it literally that's what it is. Like, I wish I could tell you like something else, but I
but
mean,
but
you can
but
have
talk to me about this, like with the eggs, the egg gate, and then the sauna suits.
this
So
is
sauna
mm,
suits are illegal for
yes.
they should be
So
kill
yeah,
people,
they
but
should be
they should be.
exactly. But the thing is, like he popped, right? He popped.
Mhm.
And the deal was that he passes all of them, right? That he passes all of his tests or whatever like that. Chris, you like, I'll be real, Christy, you know this. If a player pops, they're dirty. They've done that. Whatever they've done, they've done. Yeah, because nobody else is popping, right? And then if you look at the specifics of how the fighter was doing at that time and this,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
you start to look at the people around them, and then you
Mhm.
see the gym, and then you like, then I'm no journo, by the way, but if I was, I'll be diving deep into this matrix. But for example, you have Dennis McCann. Dennis McCann popped. We haven't seen Dennis McCann can in a while, as I understand it. I think he will be making somewhat of a comeback. I think Frank had actually said that the board had cleared him
Mhm.
somehow, some way.
Miraculous.
Again, limited company. This is not one governed by a. This is not This is not a body of or a part of the United Kingdom government. You
Right.
know, this is not government run. They do not. They literally have the same. They have the same overseers as my off license down the road, or as a
Mhm.
Walmart. You
Mm.
know. So at the end of the day, what are you going to say to people that can make their own rules just like that?
Exactly. Or what about some that do their own investigation and find themselves innocent?
You're not really innocent, to be fair. I mean, look. At the end of the day,
Exactly. That's my
like
point. How do you
Christine,
do your own
literally,
investigation?
Mungia needed heads for a for the journeyman Frenchman. Okay,
Yeah.
all I'm trying to say is right. Maybe
Yeah.
the hype is not as real as what you thought it was. I know for a fact, and you know for a fact that there's amateur boxers right now on PEDs. Right now on PEDs, there's no drug testing in the amateurs. Drug testing is very, very, very
Well,
expensive.
yeah, not until you get to the level of
The
national.
Olympics
Yeah.
and etc. etc. But
Right.
some people don't
Right.
even go the Olympic route. Some
It's
people
true.
will just go for the amateurs, or
Yes.
they'll do amateurs. They'll do some white collar boxing, and then they'll
Yeah.
go straight into the pros. And you
Yeah.
won't even get clocked until your first major world title, where there's actual
That's
stringent
very true. That's very true.
drug testing.
What do you
Mm.
think about? I mean, what is the talk over there whenever you hear that the sixth fighter that coming out of the Reynosa camp has popped dirty, and Oscar De La Hoya made it very clear that the 10 years he was with Mungia never has this happened before. What is the talk over there? What do y'all say?
I mean, I'm not being funny, all right? But if you look at it, you can AI this for all the lazy people like me out there. AI every Reynoso fire, and if they've ever popped prior to him being involved in their camp.
Mm.
I'm not saying anything to do with anything, but
Well, let's just say
Hmm.
Matter of factly, when you did that because you were being lazy, what did
Super lazy.
AI tell you?
AI told me, bro, this is not a coincidence.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, let's look at it logically. Canelo,
Mm-hmm.
right? We all, what did they say? The meat was contaminated because the
Yes.
when they found the source or whatever, then they found
Yeah.
that that batch was contaminated. Ryan Garcia turned into a lunatic right before
Yeah.
our eyes.
Right before our eyes.
Right before our eyes, right after leaving the Reynoso gym, went to Derek James. Derek James was in the corner like, mate, I am not getting paid enough for this. I'm telling you.
Right.
And then
Right.
who else have we got over there at the Reynoso camp? That's popped apart from those lot. So I mean, Magia, Canelo.
Uh,
Actually, I haven't got.
yeah, there my mind is blank right now.
I know, but
But yeah,
honestly, there's more.
there is
So
more. There were six.
there was six of them. So I mean, at the end of the day, there's no smoke without fire, and anybody who's truly in the business, right, will like the lovely Christine over here.
Thank you very much.
Will will say there's no smoke without fire, man. Like
It's
there's
very
just
true.
none. And the thing in boxing is that usually, like 95% of the time, it's true. I mean, you had
Yeah.
legends like the great Roy Jones Jr. You had even legends like Ali and what have you. But I
Yeah.
think so. Everybody's circumstances have been different over time, and drug testing over the years has become sort of more stringent at the upper echelon of the talent. So it costs about 30K to be drug tested. You
Yeah,
know what I
it
mean?
does.
Who's
And that's
paying?
why
Who's paying 30K?
like even in our upcoming fight, we called and we want to make
Thank you
sure
very much.
that everybody's getting tested, and the manager was very honest and said the only ones that are getting VADA testing are going to be Katie and Amanda because of how expensive it is. And I get it. I mean, promoters are going to have less and less title fights on the cards if they have to VADA test everybody because it is very expensive and already they don't want to pay, for some things.
But what? But what? Why is it so expensive?
That is what I want to know.
If we really look at it, lovely Christine, and because we've been talking about rabbit holes all day.
Yes.
The fact that drug testing, when something that should be easily readily available to all and
Mm.
everyone participating in combat sports to the highest level of degree, should
Yes.
be government funded.
Absolutely.
But why is it not?
I agree with you. I mean, we're talking about people's lives here. We're talking about cheating to the extent that someone could actually die in the ring. And do we have to wait, God forbid, for that to happen before things change? It's
It's happened.
ridiculous. And then we find out, oh, it really wasn't as expensive as we thought it was, and we could have gotten funding for it, but we didn't because we're
I think
greedy.
this is the thing. I think back in the day there was a saying. I'm not sure where it had originated from, but it wasn't the skill of the boxer that was measured. It was the skill of the scientist in the back.
Yes.
To right. So I think
Yes.
that if I had to take an educated guess, which is completely hypothetical, I
Yeah.
would say that they've made drug testing expensive so that it's harder to actually catch those cheating. And the fact that it's so expensive and it's behind a paywall means that that these people can get such fighters into taking such things as peds and whatever from an amateur level going straight through up until the pros. So I think yeah, I think as I said, if the only way that anything is going to change is if there's more laws and there's more sort
but
of
but
it's
don't
more.
you feel also that the drug dealers, the chemists, have also
Hmm.
gotten smarter? I mean, come on, they. How many times have we heard about somebody doing PEDs, but then they don't pop dirty, they're clean, but we still see the difference in their body and the way that they perform. I mean, I've said this before on my podcast several times, Women Crushing It Wednesdays, that we had Mia St. John on, and she said this is way back in the day. I don't even know if you remember her, but she was one of the first. Beautiful, very talented. She said that she never once did not take PEDs, and everyone around her, it was just common knowledge, locker room talk. Everyone was on PEDs. And I believe that. It's sad, but I do. Jamel and I were on a 10-8 podcast with Norbs, and he said, every, if you just look around, there is a pusher. There is a pusher in every gym. Just look around and pay attention. Jamie Belt came on and said, yeah, connect the dots. If you just connect the dots with some of these guys and the affiliation of the gyms and so on and so forth, you can connect the dots. And you really can if you pay attention.
Do you know what? I'll give you a lot of gem, yeah. I probably shouldn't be saying this out loud,
Shh.
but during the debacle of Connor Ben, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he was with Tony Sims, if I'm not mistaken. He still is with Tony Sims. Um, but at that time they had a gentleman by the name of Cash Farouk. They had the dude with a really really cool surname. He beat ah uh, but he had relinquished his IBF belt. I think he was at Super Feather or something like that. But he had relinquished it just in time for some testing to come through there. Cash
Oh,
Farouk, as we've seen, he knocked
very
out Denzel
interesting.
Bentley, but
Yeah.
he took a very steady decline. All of them, I just think, look, it's obvious for me when I look at from the outside when you look in and stuff like that. Not saying like blaming any fighters or this or whatever like that because everybody has their own certain situation and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
circumstance or what have you. But it's really hard not to miss the signs if you just look just even a little.
Yes.
And I think the fact as boxing fans and as media members actually, and this is why I think it's so important for people like yourself, new media members
Mm-hmm.
to who aren't sort of tied to anybody or anything,
Right,
and
right.
we get to actually just speak our mind and actually like say, all
Absolutely.
right, nah, this is a bit, you know, because
Yeah.
no one's brave anymore, Christy. No one's really
No, they're
brave anymore.
not. Nobody's brave. I mean, who is knocking down Reynoso's door, to say what the hell is going on? And then that there lies another question. Who is responsible? Because we see that the boxers get totally like shredded to pieces, and of course they should, knowingly taking something that they shouldn't. But what about the coach, or what about the S&C person that's the same with everybody, or whoever it is, like whoever the other person is? What about them? This is just not just lie upon the boxer. Who
I
should be crucified here?
I think um the sports, whoever handles the sports or whatever, whichever member of parliament or congressperson or whatever who's in charge of combat sports or who oversees it,
Mm-hmm.
they should have a massive they should have a massive taking in this, because really you for combat sports there should be somebody
Yes.
coming into people's gyms, right?
Yes. Yes.
Everybody, urine samples, everybody,
Yeah.
okay, randomly,
Yeah.
because really and truly, no one should have anything to hide.
Right.
365 days, 366 or whatever for a
Right.
leap year. There should be somebody sent by the government. Boom, everybody, test right now. Cool, fine. Got your samples. I'll see you guys in a week.
Yeah, it's really going to have to take, when people say a governing body, it's going to have to actually be the government, because
Has to.
nobody, it's great. People are like, "Oh, how come they don't have a governing body? How come they don't have someone that's doing this?" Hello, Ray Corner Boxing. Someone that is monitoring. Well, the thing is the cost. Who wants to put the money into it, first of all? And that is why these boxers and some of these coaches and people involved, they don't really care too much. They're like, "Okay, we have you on a cycle." Allegedly, I'm saying this, that they possibly do say this. "We have you on a
Mhm.
cycle, and it should be good. But if you're not, you know what? You're probably just going to get a fine or a slap on the wrist. you're not going to fight for a year, but would you really fight in a year anyway? So you're good.
Look
I
at
mean,
Ryan's suspension. Ryan's suspension ended just before he got destroyed
coincidentally, yes.
by the Osterine Slayer, by the King himself, Rolando Romero, my goat. Okay,
Yeah.
shout out to
Yeah.
Rolly. Did me a job there,
Yes,
son.
Rolly. Yes, Rolly.
They
Shout out.
called him a crayon eater. He made people eat crayons, okay? And he did not have one single pet in his system,
I love that.
Christine. These are
I
the
love
type
it.
of people. Do you know what I mean? I don't like pet users, Christine. I'll be real,
I don't
right?
either.
I hate pet users the way that my the way that my dad hated Milli Vanilli after he found out it wasn't them.
Frauds. Frauds. I know,
Do you
right?
know what I
It's
mean? It's
heartbreaking.
tough. So yeah,
Definitely. Red Corner Boxing says, what we thinking about the WBO saying they'd sanction Joe Parker versus Derek Chisora, the trilogy fight? What are your
they don't
thoughts?
want that man to. They want him to have CTE. They don't want him to
I
walk
know.
again. Like
Never to
really and
speak
truly.
again. Not just work, speak. It's so
I mean,
sad.
there's so many other people that Joe could fight as well. There's Jermaine Franklin. There is a plethora of other heavyweights that could
Yeah.
actually give him, a challenge while he waits for the winner of Daniel and Usyk, because I think he's definitely going for that mandatory position straight after that. I think
Yeah.
FA in that as well. So the belts will probably be fragmented.
It's a prime example of and I talked about this, we talked about this before with the girls, where and you don't the promoters, they do not care about you, they care about how much money you can make them. When they are done with you, they will throw you away in the garbage like yesterday's meal. They just don't, there's no connection. They can't have the connection. They're almost like pimps. It's like there's no emotional connection. And I hear young fighters all the time, oh my gosh, I saw so and so, at these fights, and he wanted to have dinner with me and talk to me, and he said he's going to put me on a card and blah blah blah, and he likes me. No,
Definitely
he
Eddie
doesn't
Hearn.
like you. He likes the idea of the money that you can possibly make him, and it's very sad, but it's very true.
It is a two-way relationship street though on that one. I think promoters need fighters, fighters need promoters. Some fighters just
Absolutely.
cannot.
No, no,
Mm.
just like pimps need prostitutes and prostitutes need pimps. Same
Okay,
thing.
great example.
I'm just saying, you can try to go out, on the stroll by yourself, but you're not going to make as much money as if you are not a free agent. I'm just saying.
But to be a free agent, you have to, and this is where the structure is so crazy because it's not on merit or not necessarily on merit or talent, but popularity. Because Derek
Absolutely.
Chisora and Joseph Parker are going to sell out the O2, Christy.
Yeah, no, it's so
Right.
sad. It's so
Whereas you have a Abdullah Mason, for example, extremely
right,
talented fighter. Is he gonna do 18,000, 20,000
right.
as a main
No,
event without the right dance partner? No.
no,
So
no.
it's one of those things.
It is one of those things. And the thing is too, that something that I've noticed that like we do here in the US, and it's not as necessary, I guess in the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Mhm.
you see all of our guys constantly on social media. They're um constantly on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, doing their little
I love
videos.
it.
So it seems like we do that more here. Do you see that happening over there, or are we the only clowns?
Oh no! Don't say that. That
I'm
is not true.
kidding. I'm
Listen,
kidding.
all the all the Twitter fingers boxers out there, we need you. We need more like you for my entertainment, okay? Because George Cambosis is one of the funniest people on
He
Twitter. I'm
is.
not
Oh
even
my
gonna
God.
be. It doesn't matter who you are, secretary, a teacher, the bin guy.
Yeah.
George will have that tweet for you. So God bless you, Mr.
If
Cambosis,
he
man.
could
So,
fight as well as he
I
can
knew you
talk
were gonna
shit,
say that.
oh my gosh, he would hold all the titles, all the belts. He would be
He'd
unified.
be the greatest. He'd be the greatest ever. He'd be the greatest ever.
He is.
But no, no, we have we have our own share of Twitter guys. I think maybe not as flamboyant
Right.
as our American brothers and sisters over there. But I think that's the appeal of like American
Yeah.
fighters a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You just get that brash in your face. It takes you back to the 80s and 90s type of thing. I love it. But my thing is that do the Twitter stuff, but fight also. Because
Yeah.
if you just do the Twitter stuff,
Right. Right.
then
Right.
we look at
Right.
you like
That's true.
like clowns. Or
Well,
everybody. Everybody.
the funny thing is like we can talk a lot of shit and there's a lot of banter going on, but we don't like it when it comes back. Everybody gets
I
very
know.
sensitive.
I
That like that's why I love y'all. Like I love people from the UK. It's like the banter is so funny, and at the end you're just like cheersing and hugging and having a good time, and then and then everything's great, but us, we're like holding grudges, and somebody hates me because I didn't pick them in a fight, and now they just blocked me on X, and oh my gosh, she's so mean.
I
It's
had a
so
cou-
funny.
I had a
So
couple of people like from American boxing Twitter like
exactly,
hate my
America,
god. Well,
America,
I feel like now
so
you know
sensitive. Yes.
yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I love being American. I love my American people, but come
come
on,
on, guys,
pull
come
them out,
on.
pull them out. So Red Corner Boxy was saying, what a KO from Norman Jr. By the way, guys, what a left hook. Yes, absolutely. And I want to say, I was talking with Crystal, the lovely Crystal,
Love you,
and she was,
Crystal.
yes,
A nightcap.
we love Crystal, and she was saying, okay, so who is he going to fight? Is he going to fight the winner out of Pac-Man and Barrios?
Oh
What say
God.
you? What say you?
I say I'm just you kind of get those moments where you're just like I'm really sick of this. You know what I mean? Like Pacquiao lost an election, so he thought let me just try and win another world title while
Yeah,
I'm
why
bored.
not? Yeah,
What like look at all the fighters in the top 10. If I was one of those fighters in that top 10, I would be tweeting like George Cambosis right now to make
right.
to do you know what I mean? Because you've just
Yeah,
taken an opportunity from a fighter. You have to bolster that card. Great
yeah,
card, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
I just feel that Pacquiao, you're taking opportunities away from fighters. People will say, yeah, but George Foreman was an active fighter. George Foreman
Active.
didn't just decide, oh, do you know what, fucking, I lost that fight, but
Right,
I'm just gonna go straight for the title. That's what
right.
I'm gonna do. No,
Yeah.
he fought his way up through the top 10, iced this person, iced that person, became WBA I think it was Ring Magazine champion as well. And it was incredible. But he
Absolutely.
earned his spot. He
Earned
climbed the
his
ladder
spot.
just like everybody else. And you have
Absolutely.
Pacquiao, but I'm not living off of Pacquiao's greatest hits just for him to come straight through and fight
I
barriers.
know.
Like,
And then it just totally washes everything away, unfortunately, because that is how we are. That's how our human nature is. Like, he is one of my all time greats, like, all time. Let me keep you there in my trophy cabinet. Don't
mhm,
come back down and try to do something else. You cannot repeat greatness at this
mhm.
age. It's just, it's very, it's very sad. It's very sad. Red Corner Boxing said it's looking like a Rolly or Hitchens or the winner of Donovan versus Crocker, as they fighting for mandatory, which Boots has given up at 154, so he could be the latter. Which I'm so glad that Boots finally moved up, and now we're gonna finally see him in a real fight. So hopefully, so we can see what he's really made of. Is he really like the pretty wrapping paper and bows, or is there something else behind that? Is he really going to show us who he is? So I'm excited. I'm excited he moved up.
I'm
Um,
really excited for Boots. He couldn't. I don't think he could wait any longer, man. That guy was
no,
trying to unify
yeah, he was
for
busting at the
everything, and
seams. The weight.
yeah, it's just too much.
So it should
Shout out to
be
Donovan though. Donovan
Yeah,
should beat Crocker, and he should
yeah,
get that opportunity. Well deserved as well.
that would be great. Yes, well deserved. So before we head out, because my lunch break is almost over, any last words? And thank you so much for coming on. Like, I've had,
Oh,
yeah,
anytime. For you,
so
anytime. Come
fun. I
on.
appreciate it so much. So last words. What do you want the masses to know? Because there are hundreds and thousands of people tuned in right now.
Oh gosh. Okay, that the British accent is the greatest accent in the whole entire
It is pretty amazing.
world.
It is.
All of us sound like James Bond, so it's not too bad.
That's
No, I'm
very
joking.
true.
I just like to say thank you to the lovely Christine and the amazing women crushing it Wednesdays. I'm always delighted to talk boxing with you, Christine, and I always have an incredible time. And yeah, I just wish you guys nothing but success. Check
Thank
me out on the Boxing Voice,
Yeah,
which is
congratulations.
thank you very much. Big up to my guy
I
Nez.
like 80% of the guys that come that are representing the Boxing Boys. 80. So that there's 20. There's 20%, 10 and 10. Then I'm like, just saying. But
Hopefully,
you're definitely one of my faves, if not my fave. Yeah,
thank
definitely.
you, my darling. I'm going to say fave because you are my fave too.
Oh,
But no, thank you guys so much, man. And yeah, I'm always here. Follow me on RIKO underscore boxing. Um,
Rico.
Rico, and yeah, I hope
Okay.
everybody has an incredible day, as incredible as you are, Miss Christie.
Thank you so much. You're awesome. Tell me more. No. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I love the chat. Y'all are so amazing. And to my amazing Rico, I appreciate you. I love all my UK guys. They're fabulous. And until next Thursday, love to love you.
Take care, guys.